Earlier today, I saw an image that spoke volumes. A 70 to maybe 80-year-old European American veteran wrapped in the American flag, pointing to President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso with the caption, "Why couldn't America's president be more like President Traore," who I now call President IT, his initials IT. Why would a veteran, a symbol of American loyalty, admire an African leader over his own? Because disillusion runs deep. Veterans fought for freedom, integrity, and justice. When they see corruption and moral compromise at home, they yearn for leadership that feels authentic. Leaders like Traore, who speak boldly against exploitation and defend sovereignty, represent what they believe America has lost. But above all, he puts his people before his wants and his needs. But this admiration also reveals something profound, a shift in perception. For centuries, Africa was portrayed as less than, while America claimed moral superiority. Today, that narrative is cracking. People are beginning to see strength and independence in places they were taught to dismiss, which leads us to the Black struggle and conditioning. Today I wear a shirt that says something to the effect, ignorance can be educated, crazy can be medicated, but there is no cure for stupidity. We've been here 400-500 years and we own absolutely nothing. For generations, Black people were denied the right to know who they truly were. Chattel slavery stripped Africans of language, culture, identity, replacing truth with lies. This false education created a cycle of ignorance, not by choice, not by design. And even today, many of us fight each other instead of uniting against the systems that enslaved us. Now, I mention Africans, but you don't have to agree with me, and don't come on dropping any comments. If you want to be an Israelite, if you want to be a foundational Black man or whatever you want to be, that's fine. Black Indian, that's fine. But I will tell you this. You know, a lot of us, they ask you, the first thing they ask you is if you're a Christian. Don't ever forget, it was Christians who put you in bondage, and it was the Pope who sanctified that, who let that be known all over the world that Africans and Indians and people of color can be in bondage to Europeans. Never forget that. Why we fight each other? Well, we still on the plantation, and most of us don't know it. But see, on the plantation, the strongest enslaved men were often pitted against one another for sport, forced to fight for the amusement of their oppressors. It was a brutal spectacle designed to break unity and reinforce control. And here's the tragedy. We still do it today. We tear each other down on social media. We compete for crumbs of recognition in systems that were never built for our liberation. We argue over the status that architects of oppression remained untouched. Every time we fight each other, we repeat the plantation game and the masters still win. The reality today is that we must face a hard truth. Still on the plantation, not in cotton fields, but in systems of government, corporate America, educational institutions, and yes, military and policing agencies. These structures maintain control through policy, economics, and conditioning. They tell us what success looks like, what history is to remember, and who to trust. Until we break those mental chains, we will keep fighting each other, while the real culprits, the ones who profit from our division, remain in power. Because as long as we remain divided, the plantation thrives. But when we stand together, the walls of ignorance, falsehood, and control will fall. Now, I will tell you this. Most of you I would not stand close to. And I know you feel the same way about me. You love your master too much. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't consider myself a hater, but I don't love nobody that don't love me. Now, I will tell you this. We had great people. Malcolm X once said, if you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. That warning still rings true today. We fight each other while the real architects of our bondage remain untouched. Martin Luther King reminded us that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Our struggle is not isolated. It is global, and it demands unity. Kwame Nkrumah declared we face neither east nor west. We face forward. Forward means breaking mental chains, reclaiming identity, and building systems that serve us, not enslave us. And Nelson Mandela, in closing, says, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Ignorance can be educated, but only if we choose truth over division. So let us remember, as long as we fight each other, the plantation thrives, but when we stand together, boom, walls of ignorance, falsehood, and control will fall. In closing, I will tell you this. We love fighting each other. You know, we love taking the little money that we got and going in the hood or around other black communities and showing what we got. But we can't do that in a European neighborhood, because they're the one that gave you the money, and they don't play with you. You know, they will take that money away from you and kick you in your behind and have you looking like when you left the community. Now, all I say is this. Everybody has opinions, and they have their thoughts about who and what they are and where they came from and everything else. So why knock somebody else's thought? This is the same thing that they do in the Christian religion. Return back to spirituality, because everybody if anybody even asks you if you're a Christian, you should be looking at them funny. Because in the name of Christianity, do you know how many people have been killed? In fact, in the name of religion, think about it.